I mean, we can get super nerdy here, right? This is the
yeah.
place to get nerdy.
Hey, I'm Jackie Jennings, and I am here with Amy Foster, and we're gonna dive right in and talk Rift Trilogy and whatever else we feel like. So do you feel like for you, just writing is writing? Like, do you have an idea and you're like, oh, that would work well in this format? Like, this is a short story, this is a novel. Like, does it all kind of come to you as one, or do you separate it in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I do separate it. When I know that I'm going to be writing a song, I'll come up with some ideas for titles and sort of go and vibe off that in the studio or in a writing room.
Yeah.
And then in terms of books, characters sort of just announce themselves in my brain, which almost sounds like I'm having a mental breakdown, but it's actually not. It's like just totally, they'll be like, hi, here I am. And then I'll be like, oh, who are you? And then I'll figure out how to tell their story. So yeah.
Oh, cool. So it's character first. It's not
Totally
place,
character first, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is that where the idea for the Rift Trilogy came from? It's a character?
Right. So all of a sudden, Rin just sort of shows up in my brain. And the idea of creating an unapologetically violent female warrior I didn't understand how topical it would become.
Yeah.
But it seemed important for me, for some reason, to tell the story of a girl who is a leader, a fighter, a warrior, but also is into having, a sex life and other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not just one or the other. I think what we find time and time again with the female warrior trope is that audiences expect a woman to choose between love and power in a way that men are not expected to. So if you look, we don't have very many female warriors, so like Wonder Woman, right? Black Widow.
And even her, it's like love. Like, love
Right.
Wonder Woman, but it is very like...
And also, she's like oddly childlike for someone who's as sexy as Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like...
doesn't know a lot, like isn't
And
of this
also,
world.
and I wanted to see her in that room with Chris Pine for a way longer time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So she is very sort of asexual, and it goes back to Greek and Roman mythology. All of the huntresses and stuff, they were all virgins. This idea, this separation between like creator destroyer and the female protagonist that's a warrior is just, it's disheartening. And we really haven't seen a girl whose sole task it is, not like Katniss Everdeen, not like the reluctant hero trope.
Yeah.
But like actual warrior. So you've got like girls with that are basically guys with boobs, as you've gotten in like Mad Max, for example.
Yeah.
And then you've got the sanitized version, the asexual, the virgin. So it hasn't been since Buffy. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer was the last warrior that was like into killing, but also into boys and makeup and hair, and was allowed to be multifaceted that way.
Yeah, that's very true. So you kind of touched on it, but are there any, like, what has kind of influenced your work? Or I guess you kind of mentioned it, but it's like, has it influenced, or is it like being dissatisfied with things that you've seen and that's almost more of an influence?
I think it's become, I don't think I realized how much I was craving this really multi-dimensional, fully fleshed out female girl warrior.
Yeah.
And the thing, and I wanted it, but I didn't realize how important it would be until I sort of got through like the second and third books. And I realized that like girls were a little reluctant to pick the book up. I have like a lot of male fans in their 30s and 40s.
Interesting.
Who I love, they're great.
Yeah.
But girls were reluctant because a young female protagonist wants to see herself in, a young female reader wants to see herself in the protagonist.
Yeah.
And like girls don't see themselves as warriors, which is so sad.
Yeah. So world building, I want to talk a little bit. It's, it seems daunting to sort of say, I'm going to create a place in a world and a set of rules that don't exist.
Yes.
Yeah. So so you start with characters, that's like the kind of journey, that's the beginning. Then do you kind of construct the world around them? Yeah.
Well, the character and then the story.
Yes.
And the truth is, you can really do anything, and Harry Potter's a great example of this. Like, if you have these rules of magic, these are the rules.
Yeah.
As long as you stay within those rules and don't like, well, on Tuesdays the magic works this way, and then on Wednesdays it works another way. Like, as long as you are fixed within the rules of the world that you're building, you can pretty much get away with anything.
Do you have that somewhere where, in addition to kind of like the space and all that, like the things that you as the writer know, like I'm never, like do you sit down and write your 10 commandments for magic in my world? Like I'm never gonna do this.
I mean, there are some things, certainly, but for this book in particular, I wanted to use as much real science as possible.
Okay.
And so I had like a physicist who helped me, who was I also had a military advisor to make things as realistic as possible in this very unrealistic world.
Yeah.
So I wanted to use sound. I mean, we can get super nerdy here, right? This is the place to get nerdy.
Yeah.
So I used sound and sound wave, like sort of string theory, particle theory to get in and out of this world, because light is great, but obviously it doesn't have density. It's a great way to sort of use like warp drive, and you know they do it in Star Wars and Star Trek, but I find light to be like very ephemeral and sort of difficult for an audience to grasp, like, oh, this light is unlocking a thing. But sound is, it's very visceral.
Yeah.
You know, just like a song can take you to a certain place or time. The same thing happens in here. It's like, okay, so we want to find a certain universe, and the universe, like, or the earth, resonates to this one particular sound.
Yeah.
And many physicists believe that this earth does resonate to like a B flat or a B minor or something. Like, it's a real thing.
That
it's
is
not like
wild.
pie in the sky.
Yeah.
So you've got an infinite number of earths. You want to get to one earth. It has a frequency, which is the name of my second book, by the way. Look at camera. And so it has a certain frequency, and so then they use a technology to sort of bend, as if you were tuning a guitar, like bend the sound to open the door.
Is there anything that you kind of want to leave us with, like a teaser maybe for one of your next books?
I don't know. Like, I want all of you to just run out right now and buy all 3 books and just read them, get into bed, cozy, get your like pumpkin spice latte. That's so basic, but like lean into the basicness of it, get into bed.
It's basic for a reason, it's delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious. Get into bed and like read away.
Oh,
binge read.